Alrighty. If you notice, folks, I got two different ratchets in my hand. I've got a 1/2 inch drive and I got a 3/8 drive. We're going to be talking about pulling a head on a 1981 Volkswagen Rabbit. I'm here to tell you, folks, that because they use torque to yield fasteners on the head, that a standard impact, even though it's mighty powerful, may not remove the head bolts because of the fact that it's a hammering action from the impact and not much of a twisting action. That leaves you with pretty much two options: 3/8 drive and 1/2 inch drive. Now, what we're working on here is the 11mm head bolts, which means it takes a 10mm hex head socket. And yes, they do make it in 1/2 inch drive. Folks, you will need an extension, no matter whether you're running an impact or not, to get down into the head. We'll show you that in a second here. But a few of the other tools that you're going to need to do this job. You're going to need a timing service set. The timing pump pin to lock your pump in place. The tool to lock your cam in place. And the tensioning wrench. Now, once you get the head apart, you're probably going to want to take your injectors out. Well, if you've got enough room and you're brave enough, you can do it with a standard 27mm socket. If not, you're going to have to go out and buy yourself an injector socket set, but make sure that it comes with the 27mm socket, because not all sets come with the 27mm socket. On top of this, folks, you are going to need some sort of penetrant. It's a given, folks. Now, if you are going to piece out your gasket set yourself and not buy a set, and even the sets that they do have that are what they claim to be a set, if they do not have these babies, which are our injector heat shields, you're going to have to find injector heat shields. You cannot reuse your injector heat shields. You reuse your injector heat shields and you will burn up your injectors, if you can even get it to seal properly, because the injector heat shields are also your injector sealing washers. So keep that in mind, that if you are sourcing parts piece by piece, that you have to get injector sealing washers. Now, as of May of 2020, the only two big box auto parts stores that I have found that has either a listing for injector heat shields are Napa and O'Reilly's. AutoZone has a listing for the injectors, but they do not come with heat shields. So keep that in mind if you are buying injectors as well. Now, I'm going to point you towards the last video that we did on injectors. I'll link that at the end of the video. Now, if the camera girl can get in here, we'll start talking about head bolts. These head bolts live way the heck down in here. They live way the heck down in here. Now there's 10 of these throughout the head. There's 10 of these bolts that live in this head, and they're all torque to yield. Now you also have to figure out what head bolts you have. On this motor, they are, since this is an original 81 engine, you will have 11mm head bolts, which are hex-headed bolts. Now, on the 12mm bolts, they take the tri-square, so keep that in mind. For torquing purposes, that is big. Now, when it comes to removing this head, we're not going to remove the head in this video, but I wanted to make dang sure that the information was on the channel. So, we're going to lay the book right here, but we're going to take a look at this first. Okay. This is your head bolt torque tightening pattern. Now, when you go to take these out, start at number 10 and work your way to 1. On top of that, do not take them completely out. Just crack them loose and then go through the entire sequence, cracking them all loose, and then slowly pull each one out. Now, I'm going to pull the book up, and we're going to get some shooting of the book, because on this side it's going to talk about the head gaskets and the fact that you've got 3 notches if you only have 1 or 2, or in this case in the picture they got 3. It tells you what the thickness of the gasket's going to be, and if you've got a motor that you've taken apart but don't know where the head gasket is, you can take the projection gauge and come to the book and figure out what head gasket you need. So there's that. Now, like I said, the torque tightening sequence is a little weird, but and that's why I put it on that piece of paper, because if you don't notice that there's this hump here, that corresponds to this hump here in the head, where your drain back hole is. Now, it's also got intermingled here the 11mm head bolts and the 12mm. Such as when it talks about the 81 and older engines, it torques them down in 3 increments. That means that you're tightening all these once, and then tightening them again at another torque, and then tightening them again at another. And then it'll come down here and it will tell you that removal, be careful of removal, but it also tells you that where the heck did I see it? That you gotta torque it again after 1,000 miles. So, and retighten, and yeah. So, folks, this is not just a it's not just a day-long procedure. This is actually something that's gonna, you do it one day and then you drive the vehicle and then you do it again. And that's also why I'm doing this in this format, because once I start into pulling this motor apart, I'm just going to be pulling the motor apart. I'll try, if you leave comments, I'll try and get them in when I start pulling this head, but make sure that you're at top dead center and that your cam lock plate's going to fit into your hole there. And remember that when you're doing this job, that it's not like a small block Chevy, that they do have 3 different head gaskets. So thanks for watching, and like I said, please comment, rate, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.